You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Monday, March 25th, 2019. It is also the feast of the Annunciation. Do you know what happened on the Annunciation? Well, chances are, if you pray the rosary, then you do. On the Feast of the Annunciation, we celebrate the day when the angel appeared to our Blessed Mother Mary and told her that she would be the Mother of God, that Jesus would be her son and that he would save the world. Today, March 25th, is also exactly 9 months from Christmas. Now, it is fitting that we have a Marian feast day today because as we continue to talk about the life of Jesus Christ, this week we are talking about his miracles. And the best place to start as we talk about his miracles is with his very first miracle, which he performed at the wedding feast at Cana. And he performed it when his mother asked him to perform it. Now, there are many wonderful things that we can talk about with this miracle, and we can't talk about nearly half of them. So we are going to mention just a few. So just so you remember, here is what happened at the wedding feast at Cana. Jesus was there along with many of his family members and some of his disciples. He was there to celebrate the new marriage of a young couple. Now, what happened is that during the feast, they ran out of wine. At the time when Jesus was alive, people drank wine not just to celebrate, but they drank wine also because it was hard to find clean water, so people drank wine often, and they didn't necessarily always overdrink. But to run out of wine at a wedding feast was embarrassing. Mary noticed that they had run out of wine, and she was moved with pity for this young couple. She did not want them to have embarrassment as part of their wedding day. So she turned to Jesus and she told him to please do something about it. Now, what's amazing is that Jesus had never performed miracles before. How did Mary know that he was even capable of helping with this? Well, that's something that we can ponder, and it's another amazing mystery about our Blessed Mother, but she knew. Jesus, however, responded that it wasn't his time yet. And yet, we know how the story goes. He was obedient to his mother, and he did perform his first miracle there in Cana. He instructed the servants to go fill up big jugs with water, but then when they went to pour out the contents, the water had miraculously been changed into wine. Now, the miracle is that the water had been changed into wine, but the circumstances, the place where he performed his miracle, and the reason why he performed his miracle are where we get so many amazing lessons. First of all, Jesus performed the miracle at the request of his mother. So, if Jesus is obedient to Mary and lovingly does what she asks, shouldn't we do the same? The wedding feast at Cana is a great reminder that Mary is our great friend and mother and advocate, and we should be as obedient and loving to her as Jesus Christ was while he was on earth. Also, it's important to see that Jesus performed his first miracle as something that was pretty ordinary. At a wedding, how many of you have ever been to a wedding and then to the party and reception that follows? Chances are everyone's been to something like that. And if you haven't, you probably will go to something like that over the course of your life. It's something that we all understand. It's pretty ordinary. Jesus was an ordinary person in a lot of ways. He performed a miracle as something that we all sort of understand. Also, Jesus performed his miracle at a wedding. Some of the early Christians thought that perhaps we shouldn't get married and have families, that we should devote all of our love to God. And while, of course, we need to love God with our whole mind, heart, and soul, Jesus blesses the institution of marriage and family through his first miracle. He saw marriage as something important enough to perform a miracle there. Surely Jesus loves marriage. He loves when a man and a woman commit themselves to each other for the rest of their life and they decide to create a loving family. So, from this simple miracle where water was turned into wine, we see how important Mary was to Jesus, how important the ordinary life was to Jesus, and how important marriage and family were to Jesus. Now, the rest of the week here on the podcast, we are going to be talking about a couple different miracles that Jesus performed, but we can't talk about very many of them. There were so many miracles that he performed. But before I go today, I have a small challenge for you. Since today is the Feast of the Annunciation and the day that we talked about the wedding feast at Cana, I would like you to do something very simple. I would like you to pray a Hail Mary all by yourself and in the quiet of your heart, just so that we can practice these simple private prayers and hopefully grow closer to Mary and through Mary, Jesus. That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. Just one more thing, Sprouts. I need your help. Following Easter, we are going to be having a special series here on the Catholic Sprouts podcast where we talk directly to people that have made the choice to enter religious life, specifically those that serve our church as priests or those that have become nuns. So, what I need from you are questions. If you could ask a priest or a nun anything, what would you ask them? Talk to your adult and have them submit your questions that I will use to talk to priests and nuns and share with you here on the podcast. So submit them at catholicsprouts.com/questions.